Um, Besides that, and besides our introduction, I would like to explain very shortly the purpose of today's meeting. As you know, as you've probably been informed by our website or by our emails, we, as the Czech-UNDP Partnership, have opened the call for applications for the Czech Challenge Fund. And our goal today with this meeting is to explain in English what the Czech Challenge Fund is, how the modality works, and what are the options for Czech entities and entities from the partner countries to participate. For this, we will give you a short presentation, and we will also discuss the application itself. And please feel free to ask any questions. We would prefer if you can write your questions down into the chat function, and in the second half of the meeting, we will, do our best to answer all your questions. Second, maybe more important part of today's event is that we wanted to use today's meeting as an opportunity, as a virtual venue for both Czech partners and partners in our priority countries that include Georgia, Moldova, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Cambodia, Zambia, and Ethiopia to meet and possibly create connections. Because we know that there are at least several companies or entities interested in Challenge Fund, both in Czech Republic and in the priority countries that I mentioned, who would like to participate this year, but don't have a partner yet. For this, please feel free to use today's meeting as a networking opportunity, maybe to help you sort of inform the way, but I've already seen that NATO in the chat function already did exactly what I wanted to ask you to do. If you're a company, if you're an entity, if you're a whatever kind of institution and you would like to find a partner today, what we would like you to do is to write in the chat function the name of your company and the country you are from. What are you looking for? What is the work that you do? What is your expertise? And a contact for you. Our goal today in the meeting will be to collect as many of these contacts as possible, and we will later provide them to everybody who attended today's meeting. You can also copy-paste the chat by yourself and look for a partner that could fit your needs of your company or of your team. So please feel free to use today's meeting as a networking opportunity. And also please keep the chat concise and don't forget to include all the important information, such as where you come from, what country, what is the focus of your work, what is your expertise, and a contact for you so the partners can reach out to you later, because we will not be able to share everybody's email for all the people that registered. So please write it in the chat function and give this permission for us to share by writing it there. That is all from the introduction, and if you allow me, I would like to share my screen and give you a brief presentation about the Czech Challenge Fund and Czech-UNDP Partnership for SDGs. Do you see my screen?
Yes,
right. I see no objection, so I think you are seeing my screen. Today's seminar is about Czech Challenge Fund 2022. As I said, my name is Pavel, and together with Kateřina, we are the managing team of the Czech-UNDP Partnership for SDGs. The presentation that we've made ready today is focusing specifically on the activities of Czech-UNDP Partnership and how you can become part of them. What Czech-UNDP Partnership for SDGs is a partnership between Czech Republic and UNDP, so UN's Agency for Development. Czech-UNDP Partnership focuses on fulfilling the SDGs in priority countries. The priority countries are 6 countries. I've mentioned them before: Ethiopia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Georgia, Cambodia, Moldova, and Zambia. And all the projects that we are implementing or supporting finance. Dear colleagues, can you please turn off your microphone? Thank you. So all the projects that we are able to support through the Challenge Fund are financed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic and are implemented by UNDP, hence Czech-UNDP Partnership. What we are doing today is explaining the Challenge Fund, but also doing the matchmaking. This slide, please, is a reminder of what we are asking you to do today if you don't have a partner yet, to make the most of today's meeting. So please don't forget, you can write the name of your company, what you're looking for, what is your expertise, and a contact. And be sure that we will be happy to share this contact with all the other interested participants. So please consider this an approval for us to share this information. What the Challenge Fund is. Challenge Fund is a modality of innovations by UNDP. Challenge Fund as an application is suitable for Czech private sector, non-governmental organizations, universities, public institutions, innovation centers. It can be both for-profit and it can be also not a business entity. The main consideration for us here is that the main applicant, the lead applicant, needs to be registered in the Czech Republic. So it needs to be a Czech entity. The purpose of Challenge Fund is to transfer Czech innovations to partner countries. To be able to facilitate this transfer, the Czech innovator, the applicant, the Czech entity that I mentioned, needs to find a local partner in the priority country, hence today's matchmaking option. When they form the partnership, the Czech innovator is applying to receive a grant between 20 and 40,000 US dollars for a project that is aligned to UNDP's priorities. The Czech innovator is also expected to provide some sort of co-financing, which has to be at least 20% of the whole price of the project, but can also be larger. In this, I would say that sky is the limit, but of course, the minimum is something that is required and the application cannot go through to be considered without the minimum of co-financing. In general, Challenge Fund projects are set to last for 12 months. Of course, there can be COVID, there can be difficult political situations, projects can get a bit delayed, but in general, for the most part, we are looking to create a project that would last for 12 months, but that would also create a long-lasting impact. Just to give you some idea, since 2018, we had 5 calls for applications for the Challenge Fund, and overall, we supported 63 projects in the 6 priority countries. On this slide, again, I would like to remind the conditions for application. Today, we have both Czech and foreign entities. So first of all, we need a Czech entity that is the lead applicant. Second of all, the Czech entity needs to include a local partner. And the project itself, the application, should be built around the priorities of UNDP in the country where you are applying for. So naturally, the priorities, let's say in Moldova, Georgia, and Zambia are very different. So you should be choosing your project location and your partner in that country alongside the priorities, which you can find on UNDP website. I'll be happy to share them later too. What we are looking for is not projects that will take 12 months and then finish without any result, but we are looking for sustainable character of the project. If it's an innovation, we will be very happy if you are able to find a continuity and a scale up, or at least a sustainability for the project that you've implemented. And last but not least, the call for application has a deadline, and the deadline is end of July. So from now on, we have just over 30 days to prepare the project, find a partnership, and submit the application. In sum, I've been talking about some innovative solutions for Challenge Fund, but what do we mean by innovation? For us, the Challenge Fund welcomes all types of innovation. It can be a new product, new service, a new approach to finance. It can be a technological innovation. It can be some new approaches in education or healthcare. It can be a wide variety of projects. Again, we go back to what I mentioned earlier. The project needs to address the issues mentioned by the UNDP country offices in the announcement of the application. The only condition that we are really, strict on is the Czech entity and the local partner. I've been talking about priority countries. Let me once again remind you that we are working in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Moldova, and Georgia, and Cambodia, Ethiopia, and Zambia. All these 6 countries have already had Challenge Fund projects. We've had very successful examples of projects in those countries, and I'll be happy to share with you later at least a few of them. Let me shortly stop at the financing. As I've mentioned, the lead applicant, the Czech entity, is applying for finance for support for the project between 20 and 40,000 US dollars. and it has to comply to the rule of minimum 20% co-funding of the whole price of the project. This financing is then to be used on implementation of the project. It should not cover capital expenditures of the company or the partner of the applicant. I would like to show you how the financing can look. Just as an example, if somebody applies for the $40,000 for the largest amount of support, they need to provide co-financing of 20% from the total budget, so $10,000, resulting in 50 in total. Once all the conditions are fulfilled and application sent, there are some criteria for which we use to evaluate the application. We look at the innovation, we look at the quality and impact of the project, and also we consider what is the experience of the implementation team. Very important is a scale-up possibilities. So if the solution that you propose is designed to be scalable, if it has a chance to be sustainable in the long term. Furthermore, we look at the value for money. So if the funds are being used reasonably, if the sources or the results and the goals and the aims are drafted in a way to achieve, the biggest value for the money that all of us are spending for the project. And last but not least, we are looking at the co-financing. So if you fulfill the rule and you provide the 20% co-financing, that gives you basically 0 points. You made the rule, you check, you passed, and then you can get up to 10% extra for extra co-financing. So this is an option to consider if you are the applicant, if you are the Czech entity, you can get some extra points. How the implementation works? Well, the project that possibly you would apply with and would be selected will be coordinated based on milestones and delivery in those milestones. Once you sign the agreement with UNDP, you are awarded the first 20% of the award. Then the second and third milestone will be, throughout the 12 months, we will find some suitable timeline in which you have to complete the parts of the project and the activities that you set in the application. And reaching to the fourth milestone, which is the last one, is closing the project, providing us with some kind of final report and a press release. The milestone reports, for your information, take approximately 3 pages, and it's sort of like a short sum up of what you've achieved since the previous step in the project. So in total, you are submitting 2 milestone reports and 1 final report. What are our plans for Challenge Fund this year? In terms of the calendar, is that the call has been open. The call is open for the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago exactly, we've announced it, and the deadline will be 4 weeks from now, so end of July. Then in August, we expect to evaluate the applications, and by end of September, we would like to know the names of the companies that won the largest amount of points, and we would like to move to signing contract and starting the projects. Moving forward, if we look at the plan of implementation of Challenge Fund projects, we are here now in the turquoise color on June. So we will have the deadline that I mentioned, and we will move to milestone 1 at the end of September, possibly early October. That would be the first payment also from UNDP. Moving forward, the second milestone would most likely be in December. And then the main core of the project is to be implemented throughout 2023. So the expectation would be milestone 3 by June or July, and final milestone, so closure of the project at the end of summer, beginning of autumn, so September 2023. I've talked a lot about the benefits for the applicant, for the lead applicant from the Czech Republic, but also what are the benefits and opportunities for the local partners to engage in the Challenge Fund? There are several. First of all, it's the contribution to sustainable development. Considering doing a project with UNDP carries, this responsibility, trying to contribute to sustainable development. But also, as a local partner, you get a chance to acquire new contacts and establish new partnerships. You may have a plan of your, of your activities, of your business, and you want to enlarge By participating in Challenge Fund, you are actually lowering the risk with starting something new because you are receiving the knowledge and the support of the Czech partner through the Challenge Fund project. So this may, help you to scale up or build what you wanted to do. Also, as a successful implementer of Challenge Fund, you will receive a confirmation of cooperation on Challenge Fund, on Innovative Challenge with UNDP. So you may use this as a sort of reference letter because you will have been engaged in UNDP's Innovation Challenge project, which I believe is a useful thing. And last but not least, while you are implementing, you can also expect that the UNDP colleagues in those countries, in the country offices, will be there to support you, help you, probably provide some guidance, and you can count on the support of UNDP colleagues in those countries while you are doing a project that addresses an issue which they identified for this call. To be more specific, I would like to show you, as the last part of this presentation, a few good examples of projects in different countries. For instance, this picture is from Mongu, Zambia. This is a project from 2020 where a Czech NGO that focuses on youth activities and skateboarding worked with a Zambian NGO that also works with children, and together they built a professional skate park that also serves as a community center. It has an elevated structure to deliver lectures, and now this place is used for also educational activities about sexual health, about other educational stuff. So like this, Challenge Fund was able to connect a local enthusiast and local partner, local NGO with a Czech NGO. Together they built this project, and it received quite wide attention, not only in Zambia, but also in other countries in the region. We have a similar example, which is a little bit more health and also business oriented. This one is from Ethiopia, and this would be the DOT glasses. The DOT glasses is an innovative concept of a low-cost eyewear, which a Czech startup, not a startup anymore, they became quite a big entity by now, but a Czech innovation in terms of very easy to build, long-lasting, affordable glasses, which can be delivered easily around the world. And the Czech innovator not only delivered the glasses to the partner in Ethiopia, but they also trained over 144, like sellers, but they are not just sellers, but they are actually providing the eye measurement, and they are actually sort of doing the ophthalmologist work, because in Ethiopia, the issue was that there weren't enough eye doctors, in a sense, to give people glasses, even if they could afford. And this solution targets both. So now we have entrepreneurs who found a new living for themselves, plus we have an amount of people that are actually able to receive these glasses that they could not afford before. This is an example of a Challenge Fund project that benefits the partner, benefits the local population, and supports not only health but also employment in that area. If I remember correctly, for example, this Challenge Fund project envisioned delivery of 10,000 sets of the glasses, but by the time the project finished, there was an order for another 30,000 from the local partner, because the solution was that desirable in that country, and the demand for glasses was that big. So it's a very good example, I would say. And here you can see a few more pictures from the implementation. You can see the Czech innovator standing here in the middle, and you can also see the local partners, all of them with the training kits, ready to do their new entrepreneur work. Last but not least, we have an example from Georgia, where quite the opposite type of project, actually. In the mountains in Georgia, a lot of people struggled to heat their houses, and their heatings were old, and the access to electricity and things is kind of difficult. So they were burning things that they would find in the forest. And to improve the situation, CARE Czech Republic, which is part of an international global NGO, promoted a more efficient way to heat their houses. And together with a local partner, they actually constructed an improved version of a stove that was generally available in Georgia. What happened is that a lot of people appreciated this, more efficient and also in a way more ecologic way. And we are happy to say that just recently, another large European development agency actually contracted the local partner and asked them to make several thousand more as a new project to, speed up the transition to more efficient wood burning in Georgia. So these were some of the projects that Challenge Fund supported in the past. These were 3, but in total we supported 60 more. And with that, I would like to once again just remind you the option for matchmaking, but I see that there are a lot of comments in the chat, so I hope that is going well. And unless there is any intermediate thing, I would like to look at the application for Challenge Fund.
Also, if you have any questions about the presentation now, feel free to also write it in the chat, because so far I haven't seen any question. So if you have any, feel free to write it there and we will get to it after.
Okay, I see Mr. David Mutemwa. Please go for it, David.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Sorry if I may not be able to pronounce your name, but I got your presentation very well. I hope I'm audible. I'm from Mongu, Zambia, and I'm interested. I was very impressed by the presentation, but we are working from an organization called Christian Action Integrated that is working also with the a prevention of exploitation of street kids. We are in collaboration with the Faculty of Theology of the University of South Bohemia in Czech-UNDP. I just came from there a week ago. Yeah, I was in Czech-UNDP and Plzeň. So we are working in collaboration with that. And I was expecting Veronica Zvonov-Kova to be here also because we are together in that program. We are having also volunteers now coming from the Faculty of Theology of that university and could come and do their practicals in social work, working with us with street kids. Now, why I'm here and I'm asking is, we would like to do a center for the resting and recreation of street children, where they can be found at specific times and helped in their plight. And I want to ask, is it possible within the project framework of UNDP in this regard to come up or to build a center for street kids, not really a complex, but just like a shelter or a garage where they can be met and helped in their plight? And second, I want to find out also if it is possible to create a domain like a website within this, if it's possible to create a website that can be used also, not like to advertise, but to send the information of the need to help these children in case somebody somewhere can be willing to help these people for the sake of sustainability and scaling up also. I already spoke with the Faculty of Theology of the University of South Bohemia that they are willing to sustain this in the near future. And also from us, the local partners, we are willing also to apply for funds that like Constituents Development Fund that can help this project. So I can see the picture you're putting there. That's why I got interested. It's very much like what we want to do. We want to come up with a center for the street kids where they can rest and find recreation, and also to put up a website for that kind of center so that we can continue sensitizing the community. How possible is that within the framework of the project?
Okay, thank you so much, David. Yes, I'll be happy to answer. Just very briefly, yes, this is something that definitely Challenge Fund is able to support. Hence, I came back to this example of Mongu, Zambia, because the previous project in Zambia was exactly targeting something very similar, trying to give children some option for sort of like a civic equipment or a city a facility where they would be able to spend some time in a safe environment and where they could also learn. I think that in general, your example was a very good example. I'm very happy that you have a partnership with a very good institution in Czech Republic. Already congratulations on that. We will be very, happy to see a proposal like that, though I cannot comment, on the evaluation, of course. But I think that this is something Challenge Fund is interested in. And also, I would really highlight, if you want to work with children, it is something that definitely you've seen the terms of reference. We are looking for such projects in some of the countries, so that's very relevant. Don't forget to try to include exactly how the project would be sustainable. What would the Czech partner and the local entity, do in the future to keep the project rolling? For example, just this example in Zambia is a very good example, and we like to use it because it was not just a skate park, but they built a platform for people to come and give lectures. And the park is being used basically on a weekly basis by different NGOs, by different schools, by different lecturers to teach kids and locals about different stuff from culture to education. So try to give it a very, very broad, use like this. And I think it would go in a very good direction. I'll also take a question from Samuel Tezera. And if there are any other questions, just please feel free to write in the chat and I will answer at the end of presentation from chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? I think. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can I proceed?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. All right. Okay, that's great. So this is Samuel from Ethiopia. Thank you very much, for briefing how the challenge funding is working. So I think most of the things are clear, but I would like to ask you some pointers. As you know, currently in Ethiopia, we do have a lot of war inside Ethiopia, and there is a lot of displacement from one region to another region, and people are getting starved from area to area, and people, especially the children, are not getting any education at all. So what I'm thinking is that if we think a mechanism to sustain themselves with a livestock project, project to sustain themselves, to feed themselves, could it be possible with such kind of calls? And even if we think a mechanism for teaching those young displaced, is that possible to do that? Because almost we have 1 million, more than 1 million people are displaced inside our country, and I'm just really worried about that all the time. And if we think as a solution to support them by any means, even the way they are in the hunt in the displaced area, if we think something to support them, is that possible to do with such kind of challenge fund?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the question. I think I understood everything clearly. Well, yes, I don't want to say no, because in a sense, it is something that the Challenge Fund is able to work with. However, there would be, at least first thing that comes to my mind is whether and to what extent it is aligned to the priorities that our UNDP country office in Ethiopia, our colleagues gave us. Because I'm sure that the organization is doing, this kind of work, maybe on another track. And that's why we are always trying to highlight that the project needs to address the specific priorities, or as close to the priorities that are outlined on the UNDP procurement website. So that would be one consideration. It's a little bit maybe outside of the box of what the Challenge Fund in Ethiopia right now was looking for. And also then if there is a Czech entity, Czech partner that you found that would be willing to work with you on that, I mean, I definitely encourage you to submit the application. But really the main thing I'm noticing here is maybe, for example, in Zambia, this attention to education and children seems this year a little bit more pronounced. And I would say that in Ethiopia, as you can see from the website, it is not, I don't want to say it is not on top of the list. It is on top of the list, but for a different project or for a different wing of our organization. I hope that answers your question. And please, Samuel, if you want to ask anything more, you can write in the chat or feel free to write me later on my email. We can discuss more in detail.
Okay, thank you very much. All right.
If you don't mind, Nato, please, would you, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Nato, please write a question in the comments and I will move in with just showing the application process and then we can go back to questions. I hope that's all right for everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I hope you still see my screen. I've been talking here about priorities which are listed somewhere, and I've been also talking about there is an application that you need to fill in. So let me just quickly show you how to get there. First of all, you can write undp.cz. That will, land you on our Czech-UNDP website. And the first thing that pops on it is a Czech Challenge Fund is open. So you can follow the link here to the corporate website of UNDP. And over there, it looks like this. There's all the details, all the really in detailed information, sort of the recipe for the challenge fund that you need to follow. So you can read the terms of reference. This is where the priorities are listed. You can look at the guidelines. This is more like practical tips. You need to fill the application form and you will need to fill a draft of the budget. Let me now move on and open the application form and just quickly sort of fly through the main categories. So we see what the application is all about. Okay, I hope it's visible for everybody. The Challenge Fund application has 14 pages. Looks scary, I know, but it's not that difficult at the end. There's a lot of writings that we put, so you don't have to write. First of all, you will need to send this filled in to a procurement website of UNDP by the deadline. And please don't forget to include the subject that is a Czech Challenge Fund is written here. It really makes a difference for our colleagues when they have to find all the forgotten emails. Moving on, the first thing that we will ask is the applicants and local partners details. Please keep in mind, this part is the Czech entity. This is the lead applicant, the first part. The second part is the partner's name. So this is the partner in the local country where you are applying your project. To create this partnership, you also need to create some formal partnership in terms of memorandum or letter of intent to do this challenge fund together. From the Czech part, we will also require to include sort of a transcript from commercial register or obchodní rejstřík in Czech language. So you need to prove that you are a Czech business entity. Otherwise, your application will not be considered. Moving forward, you need to give us some general information. What is the title of your project? What is the date of implementation? No more than 12 months. And also in which country you want to implement. You will then please proceed to give us some summary of the project. So in most general terms, trying to explain us what is the problem and what you want to do, how you want to solve the issue. Moving forward, we ask for the budget. You need to say, how much of the award you're asking for, what is the co-financing or co-funding that you are providing, and count the total budget. You will also provide a detailed budget in an Excel sheet, which is on the website. You will need to do that alongside your application. And there you are giving us more detail on how you want to spend those funds, which goes back to the value for money. Here you are explaining how much money you ask for and what you want to deliver from it. We would like you to think about the application not as a test. We are not trying to, question you or ask like an exam, but we would like to give you an opportunity in this application to explain us why the solution is good, why you as an innovator and why your partner in priority country are best positioned to tackle the problem that you want to work with. So you here see that we are indicating, the amount of words. It can be a little bit more, a little bit less, but please try to stick more or less to what we indicated. We are asking the degree of innovation. This means basically whether the project that you want to implement is something that has never been implemented before and you only have a concept in mind, or whether you already implemented somewhere and you want to enlarge, scale up, and transition the solution to another area. For example, from the things that I've shown you, you can look at the heatings in Georgia, or you can look at the dot glasses as a transition to scale, because it was a solution that already worked somewhere and it was put to a new place, to a new country, new region. Moving forward, it's an innovation challenge, so we need you to explain your innovation. We also need to learn how your project contributes to the efforts of the country office. This goes back to the challenge priorities, to the identification of topic for every country. So you can pick the priority, the area that we asked for in that country, and here you can explain how your problem, your project targets what the country office asked for. You're also asking if the Czech innovator has already been part of the Challenge Fund. Please, this does not create any kind of discrimination against you if you've been to Challenge Fund and you say, yes, we won't show your application saying you've already been here. It's just sort of for us to understand, what kind of applicants we have. We also look at the scale up and replication. What this means is, how is the solution expected to continue after the 12 months of implementation? Where will it go from there? Moving forward, we are a partnership for sustainable development goals, so it had to come. We are asking you to mark the relevant SDGs that your project seeks to address. Don't forget that the SDGs are complementary to each other, so it does not have to be only one SDG, but we often see projects that target multiple SDGs at the same time, which is desirable. And last but not least, you see that there are not all the SDGs which you could normally find. It's because our project focuses mainly on these, but we are also open to include other SDGs. So please, if you have more SDGs that you expect to be targeted by your project, please feel free to write it within the application. Moving forward, this looks a little bit more like an academic work. We are asking for a problem analysis. So you're stating that you want to create a project to address a problem. Here, this is the part where you need to explain why this problem is an actual thing, why it needs to be addressed. You can use, some kind of support, such as research papers or policy papers, to support your argument here. We ask for the beneficiaries. So who is affected by the problem and who will benefit from the project? You've heard from some of the questions. Usually people very well know who the beneficiaries will be. So if you are able to provide us, more detailed data, for example, in the project that you saw in Zambia, the innovator provided data, how many children they expect to come to the park, how many children live in that city, how many people could benefit from what the Challenge Fund was trying to do. We're also asking what are the results and the impact that you expect. Moving forward, number 7, we are almost there, activities and timeline. So probably in the project, we have some key things, some key activities that you want to achieve. So please state the activities, describe, what is the importance of this and that activity, when you expect it to be finished, within the implementation period. Don't forget the implementation is 12 months, no longer. Visibility. Again, it's great that we are doing a project somewhere, but also our beneficiaries should learn that there is a project like that. So we would kindly ask you to think about forward and in advance, how will you let people know about this project and about the work that you're about to do. Sustainability. Of course, again, the project lasts 12 months, but we are looking for scalable and sustainable solutions. So you should be able to give us some idea about how you want to keep the project sustainable in the future. Moving to cross-cutting priorities. This goes back to the SDGs. As I said, the SDGs are not interchangeable, pardon. Now I lost the word, but one SDG can support another SDG, complementary. So in the similar way, there are some complementary priorities such as protection of environment, human rights, gender equality, or good governance. If you think that your project is addressing any of these issues, please mark it and please describe in the section below how.
Can I ask a question, please? Can I ask the question, please?
Could you please write it in the chat? Thank you. We are almost there. There will be enough time for questions. No worries. Risk assessment. Again, the project is being implemented in the scope of 12 months. There can be some external risks that can, slow down or prevent the implementation. So we would like you to state, you can also add more, more boxes if you need. What are the main risks for the implementation of the project, and what is the mitigation? So how do you plan to lower the probability of that risk actually influencing the project? Last but not least, the project management. What is your institution? This goes for the Czech applicant first and foremost, but also for the local partner. What your institution has been working on, what is the portfolio, what is the experience that you have, why you are in a good position to solve the problem. We also ask you to tell us about the roles and responsibilities of the management team. Here you have an option, or it's not an option, it's required, but you have an opportunity to explain more in detail what experts are part of your team and what will be their role in the Challenge Fund project. Please understand this again, not as a test, but as an opportunity to say, our organization has the good people, has the good, men and women able to address what we are trying to do. So please do not send us CVs of your team, do not send us CVs of your experts, but just write here, very on point, the things that are relevant for the project that you want to achieve. Last but not least, additional information. We are asking what is the sex of the lead of the project, both the applicant and the local partner. So sort of the head of your organization, the one that leads the project. And what is the category of your enterprise? Again, this goes for the Czech applicant. What is the size of your organization? And we would like to learn how you learned about the Czech-UNDP Partnership for SDGs. If you have applied for Challenge Fund previously, and if your organization has worked or applied to other grant schemes. So it can be a Czech bilateral from Czech Development Agency, it can be other UN agencies, EU, or anything else. Just this does not discriminate you in any way. This is something for our understanding and our own statistics and knowledge management. Please don't forget, before you submit, check that you have all the requirements, such as the obchodní rejstřík or the commercial register in Czech Republic, the budget, the declaration of partnership with the local partner. Here we can see some examples, such as letter of intent, memorandum, or a contract. Please make sure that you accept the conditions, sign, of course, online. You don't need to send us, a written application here to Istanbul, but you can just send it. You are sending it to procurement email, so don't worry, just electronic signature is fine. Name, date, and that's it. You're good to go. The application will be considered if it fulfills all the criteria. That's all from me now, and I would like to give space to your questions. Let me first ask Katarzyna if there are some questions in the chat.
There question, and there was whether we are recording this meeting, and we will share the recording with you later. And yes, we are recording it, and tomorrow latest I will send an email with the recording and the presentation, and whoever wrote in the chat the introduction for matchmaking, we will also share that in the email, so don't worry, you will get all the info.
I think there's more questions now.
Yes, there is a question about 20% of co-funding. Can it be measured by non-financial contribution and is only on the leading Czech partner, or is it split into for both partners?
In this way, firstly, the co-financing does not have to be in cash. It can also be in kind. So, for instance, it can be, the license or some kind of technologies that you are putting into the project. Also, on the side of the local partner, maybe it can be, for example, you are providing a facility in that place of implementation where the Czech innovators will come and the beneficiaries will come. So maybe, the bills and the rent that would normally be charged for an external one can also, be part of the co-financing. So no, you don't have to put cash on the table, but it should be properly balanced. Every expenditure that you're putting into co-financing needs to be reasonable and needs to, make sense within the logic of the project. And there is no specific rule like 50-50 division between the local partner and the Czech entity. This is something that needs to be dealt bilaterally between the Czech applicant and the partner. I hope that answers the question.
There was another question about the local partner, if the local partner is a must and if they should share the budget with the main Czech applicant.
Okay, so the local partner is a must. And again, we don't have a specific rule, or the UNDP Challenge Fund modality does not specify what will be then the division and the distribution both of the co-funding or the grant. This is something that needs to be agreed between the Czech entity and the local partner themselves.
Another question, if we could say more precisely, who from the organization should sign the budget breakdown form?
Yes, perfect. Ideally, usually there is a project lead, there is a main project manager that handles the project after, if it's selected. So it can be this person, or it can be a senior management from the organization. But I think for the application itself, it can be a designated representative for this particular challenge fund, so a project manager.
Again, about financing, how are the financing issues? Czech partner receives funding and transfer it to foreign partner. Is there any pre-financing?
Okay, let me read again, I'm sorry. Yes, so there is no pre-financing per se. It works the way that, let's talk about the $40,000 if it's the full grant. Yes, the Czech partner receives the grant split into 4 installments. Installments are being paid based on fulfillment of milestones. And the division then is between the Czech partner and the local partner. This is not something that UNDP specifies in a rule. This is something based on your partnership, your agreement with entity that you want to partner with. And the first installment comes to you at the signing of the agreement. If you remember back in the presentation, I've shown that there are 4 milestones. So payment is divided into 4 parts. First part will be signing of the agreement, then 2 milestone reports. You're getting 2 additional parts of the financing, and the last piece goes to you, or comes to you in this case, at the moment of finishing the project.
Is there another networking platform with the Czech partners? I have noticed yesterday a lot of Czech entities joined, and today most of the people are from local hosting countries.
Okay, thank you, Clinton. Good question. Actually, this is why we asked to everybody to sort of, who wants to partner, to write down, this basic information about them, because we would like to make this information available to every Czech entity that would contact us. You're right. Yesterday there were more Czech people, I think partly because it was in Czech language, but also partly because we already have some innovators who have a partner. So maybe those Czech entities that came today are looking for partner, whereas yesterday they already partnered up. But don't worry, we will try to matchmake by sharing the contacts that you've provided with every Czech entity that would reach out to us, or with everyone that attended the event. We will send an email to everyone, thanking for this and also sharing the contact. Hence, we asked for your permission to share this.
Another question, is co-financing a must? Yes, co-financing is a must for 20%. Anything above is voluntarily, but at least 20% is necessary.
Yes.
How many projects are you funding per participating country?
A very good question, Emmanuel, and also thank you, Kangwa. I hope I pronounced it right. Yes, so there is not a specified number of how many projects each country receives. For instance, if you look at last year, to give you some numbers, we had 50 applications, 49 actually. We supported 12 projects, so we are looking at some 20% success rate. And there were countries that received multiple projects. There were countries that did not receive any. So we don't have a quota trying to throw a project into every place, even if, for example, there would be better applications somewhere else. The main consideration in this is the quality of application, and it is being evaluated by a 5-member panel. So like this, including the views from the priority countries themselves. So we are trying to ensure that the applications that have been selected or will be selected in this case are based on the merit of a good application, not on a quota that we need to throw a project to every country.
How will the co-financing be reported? I mean, during or after the implementation of the project?
All right, so let me just quickly show you. I'm still sharing my screen, I hope. If you see my screen now, I'm showing you the budget. So basically, when you are submitting the application, you are giving us this proposed budget. And in this, you are actually showing what is the expenditure in kind of units, what is the price per unit, what is the amount of funding from the award or finance that you use, and what is the finance that you use from your own co-funding. Then with each milestone report, so with milestone report 2 and 3, you will send us this budget again with the changes showing how you leverage the funds or how you employed the funding. So what you specify in the proposed budget and what is agreed in the contract between UNDP and your company or your entity then is the basis for how we sort of measure or report and control the co-financing. It's based on the agreement that you will sign with UNDP and what you specify that is the co-financing.
Another question. I would like to ask if you can clarify the eligibility of the applicant. If we are not running any business but are only individuals living in the Czech Republic, what we must do in order to be eligible?
Okay, I see. So you need to have a registration in obchodní rejstřík. This condition has been set from the beginning. Unfortunately, we are not able to work around of it. If you're an individual expert, we also have a program for deployment of individual experts, but that's for maybe another discussion some other time. So please feel free to write me an email. Remind me that you asked this question, but unless you are an entity registered in obchodní rejstřík, in a business register, you are not eligible to apply.
I'm working in the university, so I have to collaborate with certain local partner in my country to apply for a challenge fund, right? The university would have to be a Czech university. If your university is in Zambia, if I remember correctly, then you would have to find a partner from the Czech Republic who will be the lead applicant and you will be the local partner. Do you require control or audit reports during the project?
Thank you, Andrea, for this question. No, maybe this question was posted before I talked about the payments and the milestones. But so with every milestone report, this is sort of quality assurance for us. You're submitting more or less like 3 pages of a narrative report, similar to the application, but much shorter, where you're explaining the activities. If it goes according to the plan, you are telling us, you are informing us how it goes. Plus, you also provide the budget breakdown with the deducted, basically deducted funds, which you already spent and how you spend them in accordance with the plan. We do not require, some internal finance register from your organization if you ask about anything of this kind, but also there is a monitoring on the side of UNDP, usually an on-site monitoring during the implementation that the UNDP personnel, can arrange a meeting with you while you are doing the project and maybe, ask and learn some questions about the implementation.
Then there is a consulting to private limited companies and if they can participate.
If as a local partner, yes, let me start from there. As a local partner, you have a very big freedom and basically the Challenge Fund does not specify what kind of local partners can or cannot apply. It's being evaluated again based on the relevance for the application. And from a perspective of Czech Republic, it needs to be again an entity registered in the obchodní rejstřík, in the business register or commercial register.
If the collaboration is between 2 academic partners, is publication counted as deliverable or does it have to be like some industrial partner to scale up an idea?
Thank you, Vladislav. Oh, very good question. Actually, if you look at the UNDP website, undp.cz website, and you go to Challenge Fund projects, you will see that we, for example, had a project that was trying to change debt environment in Georgia, in one of the priority countries, and deliverables, among others, were publications and research and policy kind of lobbying as on the basis of what has been researched in the first part of the project. So yes, it can be, and no, Challenge Fund does not look only for industrial solutions. It can also be something targeting in social, issues. Let me also, just the last example, for the sake of time, we had a community planning project. A community planning does not come as an innovation if you come from certain cities in the world, but in some other parts of the world, community planning is a new concept. It's a good innovation for the locals to take ownership of what's happening in their town or village. And for example, one of the deliverables, aside from the activity itself, was a guide in local language for local stakeholders and representatives how to do community planning in the future. So I hope that answers the question.
Are general costs eligible? Can they be included into budget, like office rent and so on?
Well, yes and no. I mean, of course, if you need to rent an office, if you need to rent a conference room for the project, during the project implementation for some key activity, of course, this is something we are seeing very often, but the Challenge Fund funding, the UNDP funding, cannot be used for any capital expenditures for your organization. So let's say you have a desk officer that will work on this Challenge Fund project for the next 12 months. Hers or his salary can be part of the funding, of course, or can be, paid from the funding. But if you try to say that the whole organization's office will be funded, the rent and lights will be funded from the Challenge Fund, I don't think that would pass. So again, no capital expenditures. All the expenditures need to be relevant to the goals and efforts of the project.
Then there is a question from Mechanical Engineering Faculty of University of Sarajevo. Their concern is that they are not sure if they can get in touch with Czech partners, for example, Czech University. Do you provide any help to find a university in Czech Republic that will lead the project and cooperate with the University of Sarajevo?
Well, I hope that the contact is on the list, and we will try to make sure that should we know that there is a university looking for a partner, we may try to facilitate this contact as soon as possible. Cannot promise anything. Yes, I will try. And if I may ask Galaxy A10s to close the microphone. Thank you.
Are the proposals evaluated on the country basis? Each country has different evaluators, project managers, shortlist of selected proposals.
Yes, okay, thank you, Jiří. Well, yes, basically there is an evaluation board, which is the same for all the projects, but this evaluation board takes input also from the priority countries. So just like you saw the priorities that were defined by country office colleagues and by the Czech embassies in those priority countries, once the applications come in, aside from the core body here in our office here in Istanbul, there will be an expert views from each of the partner country for the projects relevant in that country. So yes, there is a country basis evaluation in place, advising the evaluation body.
Okay, there are no more questions. If there are any more questions, feel free to raise hand or write any other questions in the chat. Let me remind you, if you have not shared your contact yet and you would like to do some matchmaking and find a potential partner, please do it now before we close the call, and there will not be a chance to do it afterwards. So please share your contact, email, your company, entity, and what kind of partner you're looking for. And we will make sure we will give you the contacts later. There's a question. Has your organization, if you could specify the question, has your organization applied to other calls or tenders? Do you mean have you ever, or do you mean running applications?
Thank you, Miroslava. It's a good question. We have a lot of different applicants and a lot of different partners. You saw that the Challenge Fund itself is a very broad modality. So Actually, of course, you don't have to go back, you know, the history of the whole institution. Now, if it's a big institution that applies to a lot of things, I would just, you know, I would just tick the fields and leave it on. Don't worry. This is not something that we are considering in the evaluation. But also we are sometimes having, you know, for example, small NGOs that just recently started, or we have startups that are, you know, new to this kind of granting schemes. So then they are usually listing everything because it's something new that they just started. So you don't have to, you know, you don't have to go everything you ever applied for. Just something if you consider very important that you want to mention. Welcome.
If the organization did not apply for many tenders called, but for example, collaborated with UN agencies?
Yeah, I think also possible. I mean, we are asking specifically if you applied for calls. If you didn't apply for calls, you don't have to tell us. But if you have a, you know, you are explaining at some point in the application the expertise of your team. So if you think that you want to mention that your team is experienced because they worked with this and that in the past, of course, you can mention it. But again, there is a difference between if you're answering the question, have you applied to any calls before, which is for our kind of internal understanding of you, but not evaluating the application, or if it's the, you know, point of the application where we are actually asking the experience of the implementer and of the implementer team, then I think it's very relevant to mention every kind of experience that's relevant. Think about it as a CV.
Any other questions? You're welcome, Elaine.
It's, very happy to answer your questions today. Very happy to talk to you. I sincerely hope to meet as many of you as possible at some point, either for implementation of projects or for some other opportunities, both from Czech-UNDP and from UNDP in general. Please feel free to reach us via email. Maybe we will share our emails now in the chat box, just in case you asked a question and I maybe did not answer properly. So just feel free to reach out to us. And thank you for your attention. Have a nice day and good luck for those who are applying.
Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have
Thank
a
you
short
very much.
request for your
Nice
email.
one.
What you shared is just your email?